welcome back to another live stream. Currently, it is 1:30 in the morning, and I just wanted to make a video. Now, my last live stream, I said I probably wasn't going to make any more videos on this game. But I don't think I clarified to some people, I mean, whether or not you care or not, or maybe in the future if I blow up. You never know. So I gotta explain everything I do, because some people just don't seem to understand what taking a hiatus or even taking a break from a game seems to mean. It's not that anybody has complained about it or anything, or even said anything about it. It's just, if this ever comes up in the future and people ask why I stopped streaming this game for a certain period of time, I will come back, but I think I'm only going to come back when they nerf Artillery to the Ground. They've already nerfed Artillery to the Ground on PC. There's no such thing as Artillery on Blitz, and the console edition is always one step behind, it seems, when it comes to balancing tanks and balancing everything. They're always one fucking step behind. So hopefully, due to how they have been doing things lately, with buffing tanks, old tier 10s and whatnot, and balance changes and stuff to tier 10, the meta's changing constantly right now for some reason. I don't know why, all of a sudden. But currently, due to the current atmosphere of the player base, just the games I'll get, I'll be trying to grind something out. I'll be trying to do my season challenges. I'll try to, I'll try to just do challenges in general to earn more tanks, to earn ops for tanks, like the current one I'm doing right now. And these players, and it's a massive players. It's not just a specified small group. Every 100 battles I do a day, because I'm really grinding right now, and this shit just is super grindy right now. Every about 100 battles a day, I want to say about 60 of those games are losses out of fucking 100. I lose more games than I win more games, and it's not entirely my fault. The gameplay you see that I have on live stream compared to how I play when I'm not live streaming on this game, compared to War Thunder, is completely different. I don't really take this game too seriously when I stream it. I mean, I try to have fun with this game, and I really try to stick it out. But this worked for me before, and I'm pretty sure it'll work again. How do I want to start this sentence? I started playing this game little backstory. I started playing this game when it first released on console for PS4. And I know I'm like one of the first 1,000 people to download it, because I have certain badges. If I go to my profile and I go to if I go to my profile and I go to my World War II medals, I have certain badges that say so and so was a not even a beta tester necessarily, but a beta player. Played this game right at launch and right before launch. And over the years, there's been the same exact, atmosphere and logic in how players play. It's kind of like throwing a 5-year-old into a Call of Duty game and expecting him to know what the fuck he's doing right away. If that is a good enough example. The way that these people play, and by the way, the tanks you see on my screen are top tier tanks. This is top of the tier. You should, by the time you get a tier 10, and I've said this in game chat too, so many fucking times. By the time you get a tier 10, whether you bought it outright, right away, or not, the majority of the cases is that they ground their way up to a tier 10. They have the experience from playing up the line, but when they get to tier 10, something happens. I can't explain it. I really can't. They become stupid again. It's like a tier 1 to tier 10 shift. They go back to a tier 1 mindset, capping bases at tier 10, holding out at spawn, defending artillery like it's some fucking game where artillery matters. By the way, I am a full-hearted hater of artillery. I think their mechanics are too easy. I did make a video on that a couple months ago. Go check that out if you guys want to check that, see what that's about. I think it was under my reasons why this game's broken, which was this game, World of Tanks. But I've tried. It's just been a stress-inducing. It's been a fucking stress-inducing grind to keep my stats at an average win-loss of 50%. Keep my average damage, which won't ever go down because I'm really good at damaging tanks, surprisingly enough. Where it is, or even get it higher. And my average KD, which is really good, by the way. It's not professional level good, but it's good. I mean, I'm over average above. I'm on a higher playing level. I'm not even flexing. This is just, dude. If you've ever looked at the players that I play with in my live streams, you'll understand that my thought process, my logic, my situation awareness is a lot higher than all these players I'm around. More than half the players on my team usually either camp at spawn, are artillery, which are useless usually. I mean, I don't care if you're great or not. I've said this before in the past. Artillery is dead space. We need tanks on the ground. You know, we need that frontline ability. We need, instead of having 2 fucking artillery at tier 10, give us 2 Death Stars or give us 2 more heavy tanks. Give us more firepower. That's not just a one shot. You know, artillery is fucking useless. And until artillery gets nerfed to the ground, which I firmly believe it needs, not only that, but I believe it needs to be put into its own game mode. But not until that happens, after this season pass, depending on where this game goes next season and what they're doing, are they going to keep doing seasons and shit? Because I think we're almost at season 10 right now. So I don't know if they're going to do a season reset. I don't know if they're going to do another game reset like they did in the beginning. I don't know. But until something massively major happens, I've got enough tanks in this game. I've got enough tanks to keep myself wealthy with silver. I've got tier 10s to show for it. I've got experience. I literally have almost, oh my god. How much time, if I were to like really specify it? I want to say 5.5 years. 5.5 years on the dot I have playing this game. And I took a 2-year break. Like, 2 years after the release of this game, I didn't play the game for 2 years. Okay? Now, I've made up for that massively. I've come back and I've had literally 20,000 battles since I've been back. And this has been 3 years now. This was like 2017, 2018. This game came back out in 2016. Now, those numbers don't match. This was the end of 2017, the very beginning of 2019 is when I came back. For a little bit, and then I came back fully in 2020. I don't know if it really shows any of that on my records, but you can go check if you want to really see what's going on. That's just kind of a thrown out there estimate. But I've seen a lot of change in this game, and it's not a lot of good. It really isn't. I'm sorry to be so morbid. I'm sorry to be so realistic and so fucking to the point, but there's not been much change in this game, and it's almost 6 years. There really hasn't. The player base is toxic still. People don't want to fucking learn how to play their tanks. People buy up to tier 10 right away with their fucking daddy's fucking card or even their own card. They don't take the time to learn how to play the game. They ruin the fun for everybody else. They act like fucking actual dumbasses, dude. Like these. And by the way, if any of you guys take offense to this, I'm sorry. I'm just very, very. I've got a very, very, very heavy mindset when it comes to how people perform. If they don't perform, if they don't perform at least, knowledgeable of the game they're playing, they don't need to be playing that game, in my opinion. If you don't know what the fuck you're doing in that game, either start to learn how to fucking play it properly, or just stop playing it, Because there's other people here that are playing competitive, that want to keep their records clean, they want to keep their win rates on their tanks, their damage output on their tanks high, they want to mark their tanks. This is me, by the way, for the prime example. That's all the shit I want to do. But, I can't. Every fucking other game, and I'm not going to make this a super long video, I'm just saying my goodbyes to this game for a while. Like I said, as soon as they nerf artillery to the ground, I'll keep an eye out for the news and shit. I'll be reading on all their updates and whatnot in the future. But next season, depending on what tanks they give away next season, I might not even do it. I might not even play next season. I'm almost done with this season. I'm like tier 60, I believe. I mean, I completed my goal at the end of the day. I made some promises and some commitments to myself when it came to this game years ago. I used to be a person who used to have a few tanks. I had never had more than 4 or 5 tanks in my garage. So to have this many tier 10s in my garage, to have this many tier 9s in my garage, which isn't a lot, I know, but I don't really collect tier 9s. But to have this many tier 8s, 46 tier 8s, to have this many tier 7s, tier 7s. By the way, I'm not trying to say I have an insurmountable amount of tanks. I'm just trying to say that I've got a good amount, you know. To have this many tier 6s, to have this many tier 5s, all just from grinding this game, earning these tanks from ops every other month, because Wargaming lately has been giving away a bunch of fucking tanks. This year alone, I think they've given away like 30 fucking tanks, 30 premium tanks this year alone. It's bonkers, and I didn't get to all of them because I've taken small breaks from this game every once in a while because I'm just getting tired of fucking playing it. But yeah, no, so you know, fucking yeah. I mean, some of these tanks were just tanks I got along the way, you know, like the Valor. The Valor, I grinded my ass off for that. This wasn't even a season tank. This was a tank you earned by grinding. I had to get I think I had to get 1.2 million XP. And back before this happened, this tank was released before the massive shift to crossplay happened. This tank was probably one of the hardest grinds I ever had. It was worth it. It's a really good competitive tank. It really is. But the grinds over the years have been getting slowly easier. That's all I can really give this game props for. They keep nerfing the fun tanks. They keep buffing the brain dead tanks, and what I mean by that is this tank in particular is in my eyes and with my experience I have in this game, this tank in particular is a competitive tank. This is a tournament tank. Its turret bounces almost everything, including this motherfucker right here. But when I came into this game 5 years ago, 5.5, excuse me, I wanted to set some goals, you know. I saw that everybody was playing the mouse. I saw that everybody was playing the IS-4. 705A didn't exist. The T790 hadn't existed yet in 2016. You know, I saw a lot of people going up the IS-4 line in the beginning. I did too. The IS-4 is my first tier 10, and I still have it to this day. I'm joking. In the very beginning, I sold it because I didn't know how to fucking play it. That's a funny story that maybe I'll tell you some other time. But, you know, like, this is my first tier 10 I ever had. I got this a year into playing the game. But I sold it. I got it back 2 years later and then sold it again. And then 3 years later, and towards the end of 2020, I decided to fucking buy it back because I had a shit ton of silver at a certain point. But, you know, all these tanks that I admired, all these tanks that I was like, dude, I want that tank. Or, dude, that tank's really powerful, you know. I have them now. I have all these tanks I wanted. Like, I seriously do. There's literally... I have no serious commitment to grinding tier 10s in this game anymore, besides the fact of being like, hey, that'd look cool in my garage, or hey, maybe the mechanics for that tank would look cool to try out, or whatever, you know. I've got such a vast variety of, you know, some of the most, you know, most used tier 10s in the game, you know, like all these tanks you see here, I see people play with all the time. These are like some of the most common tanks you see people play in the game, and for good reason, because they're monstrous. They're amazing in their own way, and with the right type of skills. But you know, I mean, I didn't think that it would end so soon. I didn't think that I didn't think that the player base would get so bad. I know I've had friends and ex-friends and just friends in the past in general that have legitimately stated the fact that they were going to stop playing this game until it was, I don't know, until the meta changed, you know, and until things were fixed better. And 5.5 years later, this tank right here used to be one of the hardest hitting tanks in the game. It still is, per shot, damage-wise. We're not including artillery because we don't like artillery here. Plus, it's a mechanic that shouldn't be in the game for any of you guys watching in the future. We're talking about actual fucking tanks that actually get a little bit of their skin in the battle, you know? Not playing like a pussy. That's what this channel's about. And that's what I'm about. So, you know, length for length, barrel width for barrel width, damage for damage, penetration for penetration. No. You know what? We'll rephrase that because the tank that has the highest penetration in the game is this tank. Its premium round has 420 millimeters of penetration. But no, this is the hardest hitting tank for damage in the game, and it used to be a lot different. It used to be the hardest hitting tank in the game over artillery. This thing used to compete with artillery for damage per shot. When this thing, so I only got this after it was super nerfed and shit, like it is now in its current state. But I remember seeing stories, and I remember, you know, I have clips on my channel too. I've been one-shotted, like, by these things in Tier 8 tanks and Tier 9 tanks and Tier 10 and Tier 10 tanks, excuse me. Stuttered there for a second. I've been shot by these things back in the day, and 2,000 hit points gone, 1,800 hit points gone, 1,900 hit points gone, 2,100 hit points gone. Because not only was the round, by the way, the round on this tank that I'm talking about is its Lovely Hesh, the round I'm hovering over right now. Its armor damage used to be, I think its numbers were 1,800, no, I think it was 1,700 to 2,200. That was how much damage it did in between there, no matter what. By the way, you got to take into account armor. Armor was a thing back in the day too. If you like try to hit a strong piece of armor, you're not going to do as much damage. But even back in the day, hitting a mouse front on, you'd do 800 to 1,000 damage on its strongest parts. Now when you hit anything armored enough, you do like 200 to 500 damage. And this does have, and remember, we do not count artillery in this on this channel. This has the strongest hitting round in the game. But it's very, 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 very nerfed. And it's the small things like this, the things where they don't buff a tank, or they keep a tank so shitty for so many years and just forget about it. Or, for instance, you know what? Here's a good story, and this is another reason why I just don't like the developers of this game. I don't. They don't know how to handle their game, they don't listen to their community, and they don't look at actual stats for tanks. They just do whatever the fuck they want when they want. But for instance, just for an actual realistic example, not even a month ago, they just finally gave the IS-4, after 5 years of this tank being in the game as an original tank, they just finally gave it a fucking buff. They nerfed it to the ground after about a year of it being in the game, and they nerfed its armor to shit. This was the worst heavy tank in the game. Not even a month and a half ago. They just buffed it. The entirety of its armor, the characteristics and everything. They just buffed it. They buffed its reload, they buffed its armor, they buffed its armor thickness, they buffed its bounce capabilities. They did everything that we've asked for 5 fucking years. Or no, sorry, 4 years. 4 years fucking later. And the course that it seems that the developers of this game are going on right now is intriguing, to say the least. Because, let me just show you across the board. Since, I want to say probably about 4 months ago on the dot, they just have been they've just been buffing a shit ton of tier 10s. Like you'll see them announce it too, like a week before they buff it. They're like, oh, look at these buffs we're doing to this tank. I heard something about they're being sued or something by like a super big company or some shit. I don't know. Either way, these upgrades are a little too late. You've lost so many loyal fans over the years. I've talked to so many players over the years, and I've argued with so many players over the year, the good and bad of this game. But I'm kind of just done arguing for this game, and I kind of want to argue against it. This game is bad. But it's not bad in the fact that it's got horrible mechanics. It's bad in the fact that the community they're not listened to. when we say a tank's too overpowered, right, on release, when it's released, they don't listen. They wait 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then they nerf it to the ground. They don't just do slight nerfs to it. They fucking nerf it to the ground. I'm really surprised that these two tanks right here that look the same, they are the same tank, by the way. One's just got a different skin to it. I'm surprised that neither of these have been nerfed to the ground yet. These tanks have been out for about... This one I've had for 6 months. The other one I actually got 2 months ago from a crate. But these are very, very strong tanks. These are like highly competitive tanks. Like, I would consider these tournament ready tanks, in my opinion. Their turret auto bounces almost everything, which is very uncommon for the majority of tier 10s in the game, because everything seems to want everybody seems to want to just shoot you with premium rounds. So unless you've got a super bodacious, I know I just said that sounded weird, but let's roll with it. So as long as you have a shit ton of armor like the mouse, or shit ton of armor like the F5, you'll be fine with regular rounds, or even these two, by the way. These two, actually, I would count these two because their turret is fucking crazy. Unless you have a shit ton of armor, you know how to angle that armor, and you know how to protect your vital parts, everybody just is pinnable. And that's not even the bad problem. The worst problem about it, like I said, and I keep coming back to this because this is the main point I'm trying to keep on track with. The main problem is the community isn't listened to. The developers make undesirable decisions that the player base is very vocal about, and it's like we're talking to a wall. I said this. Oh, by the way, I said this in my last live stream. It's like I'm talking to a wall, and the developers on the other side of it trying to understand what we're saying, but not really trying at the same time. That's kind of how it feels. That's how I feel as a player playing World of Tanks Console Edition on PS4. I feel neglected. I felt like that. By the way, I know. In the grand scheme of things, money, fucking, stocks and, prices and shit up and down, yada yada yada, and sales and whatnot. But, I think I could speak for everyone that I've ever talked to when I say that you'd have a more positive community, you'd have a bigger player base, and you'd be getting more money if you were, making these tanks more realistic. A Death Star shouldn't do 1,300 damage with Hesh to the ass of a grill. No, it should do 2,000 because the round in real life that it's based off of was meant to rip apart armor and explode the tank. It was meant to... Hesh rounds are meant to cripple tanks. That's what they are. They're real rounds in real life. And they were used by the British, I think Royal Armour, I believe. I don't know what their army is called exactly. So the British Army or whatever. And the Hesh round is called it's a high explosive squash head. So the front of it gets squashed into the armor, and it rips into the armor. It doesn't rip into it like a conventional round. It literally rips that shit open, dude. It tears that shit wide open and explodes all in the same time. So anything it hits, it disables. That's what Hesh does. It's such a destructive round, but it's so weak in this game. In War Thunder, and by the way, in my War Thunder video I did the other day, I mentioned this game, vice versa. In War Thunder, the 4005, which is this tank's sister. By the way, both of these were made. There was actual models made for both of these in real life. But its sister, the explosive massive Hesh round, is so much more realistic. I mean, obviously, it's a mil sim. War Thunder is a mil sim. It's a military simulator. But still, it's sad that a military simulator tank game can get Hesh rounds on a tank with this caliber correct in one game, and then the other game they're half-assing it. And what I mean by half-assing it is this game. They half-assed the capabilities of this tank, and they treated it so wrong. I feel so bad for my tank. I do. I'm not gonna lie. I have a few good games here, but if this tank was back to how it used to be back in the day, I'd easily be able to see 10,000 damage. Maybe every year even if I got really lucky. I just want some of these tanks to have their armor back. I want them to have their gun capabilities back. You know, the mouse actually also got buffed 2 months ago. They buffed its top speed from 20 to 25. I've got it at 28 because I've got equipment on the shit that boosts the engine. But they gave it a very small buff in the grand scheme of things. They didn't rebuff its armor. By the way, the mouse's armor currently is less than it is on PC, and it's less than it is on War Thunder. For any of you who play War Thunder, it's a shamble of its old self, and on console edition. I think I'm willing to say the PC version of the mouse is so much more better equipped and so much more balanced than than the mouse is on here. It's kind of like they decided to split their team up for Wargaming.net. That's the company that makes this game, by the way. It's kind of like they decided to split up their teams into different categories for each of their game, and they pick the best teams for what they think is going to work the best. But not really. They kind of just did the stick game where you put different size sticks in your hand and everybody picks, and they just decided to give the shittiest teams the best possible games to work on. Not trying to insult anybody out there who who's a developer or anything, but like there's just certain people and there's certain companies that don't do it correctly, and they try and they fail too hard. You've had 5.5 years on a console edition game to work out the kinks. And some of these tanks still feel like they cannot compete. They cannot compete with other tanks. Some of these tanks they do not feel compatible at fucking tier 10. You want to know? Well, this also just got a buff too a month and a half ago. This got buffed around the same time the IS-4 did. You want to know another tank that I feel is still not competitive enough? This tank. They gave it a small buff to its armor, but it's nowhere near where it was when it first released. Now, I know when tanks first release, sometimes they're broken, and they do need to be fixed. I get that. But the way that I've read manuscripts and I've read details on the history of this tank, its armor was so much more thick. It was near impenetrable. It was a fucking mouse for the Chinese. Or the Japanese. I don't mean to butcher anything. I'm not trying to be racist or anything. I get those mixed up on tank games all the time, dude. It's one of the worst things about when I play tank games. I'm like... And then, you know, it's funny, I get Russia, I think it's Russia and China get mixed up, because they both have a red flag. And then I think, oh my god, dude, there's like 1,000 ants on my plate. Wow. No shit, there's like, oh my god, there's even more when I look into the plate. Dude, literally, there's like one piece of crumb on the plate. There's one piece of crumb, bro. I have an ant problem. I do. I'm willing to say that. I'm gonna toss this in the trash real quick, guys. Give me a second. Oh god, there's just so many fucking ants, dude. Yeah, no, we have some serious ant problems though. Like some serious ones. Hopefully they'll all fucking go away. I don't want to spray my fucking where my TV's at. Yeah, there's so many. Get the fuck off my fucking stuff, dude. Fuck, man. So fucking annoying. I do hate ants. If there's one animal on this fucking planet I hate, it's fucking ants. Well, not animal necessarily, but insect. It's fucking insects for sure. But yeah, no. So it's not just the whole fact of how the tanks feel these days. It's the irritation I feel when I go into a battle and I see a dude who I know was playing for a second go AFK and not play the entire fucking game. That happened to me today, and that hasn't happened to me ever before. I shot the dude's tank, he looked at me, and then he just pretended to fucking act AFK. And he stayed put the whole fucking game. And if I'm breathing heavily, it's because I'm trying to explain a point. One of the worst part about that player, he was in an artillery tier 10 tank. Yeah. Another reason why I don't like artillery players, because they seem to fucking think it's a joke, you know, fucking other people's days up, making their chances of getting wins, you know, not happen. But I think the worst part about this game is its overall matchmaking system. That's the worst thing about this game. It needs to be... So, these are the two things that I'm looking for to come back to. I will play this game until the day I die if they change these two things. You know what? Fuck it. 3 things, because this one's becoming a natural problem for a lot of my friends too. There's 3 things, and I've mentioned this in a video when I had a rant on this game before. There's 3 things they need to change. They need to make it +1, -1 matchmaking. You'll never see tier 10 when you're in a tier 8. I think that'd be perfect. I think you'd get back so many fucking people who left this game for that exact reason. Make it +1, -1 permanently, or give us a game mode that's +1, -1. Let us have the challenge of facing tier 10s if we want. Give us different game modes, dude. Expand the library of game modes like War Thunder has. Take inspiration from Rivals, you know? I don't know if you're Rivals or not, but fuck. Here's my second thing. Nerf artillery to the ground and or change their mechanics. Make them more of a support base and not fucking tank killers like they are. I shouldn't be in a fucking tier 10 heavy tank and get one-shotted by a fucking tier 10 artillery. I understand. Big barrels. Big shells. I don't care. In World War II, artillery was not, and this is factual, was not as accurate as they are in the fucking game. Now again, I get it. This is an arcade tank game. The mechanic is broken. I mean, it doesn't take genius to figure that out. Anybody who doesn't believe that probably hard dick rides fucking artillery, and you don't belong here, so bye-bye. But what it is you spawn in the artillery tank, and I've actually done gameplay of playing artillery to show how simple it is. Dude, the mechanics for playing artillery are so much more simpler than playing a regular tank in this game. It's disgusting. It's absolutely fucking unbelievable, dude, and it pisses me off to my core. I'm actually, you know what? I might do it this live stream. I might sell the only artillery I've ever had. The person who gave me the artillery kind of backstabbed me and kind of just defriended me and gave me no explanation why. So that's another reason for me to sell the artillery. I just don't like artillery in general. Plus, that artillery, literally every time I've ever played it, I haven't earned any more than 10,000 silver with premium time. I haven't earned anything more than 10,000 silver. Artillery premium tanks in the game don't earn shit. Don't talk to me. You can't argue that point. Premium artilleries do not earn shit for money for some reason. But you know, speaking of which, let's do that on live stream while we're at it, because there's a certain someone I want to see this. Let's go over here, go to sell tank. Oh yeah, baby. Bye bye. Oh yeah, 2.4 million, bro. That's a W. That's W. Hell yeah. And for any of you guys that for any of you guys who watch my channel and are subscribed and whatnot, and who liked watching my World of Tanks videos, let me know in the comments. Like, you know, not necessarily attack me, but just, you know, if you guys play this game too, do you see the same shit, or am I the only one waking up here and you guys are all just delusional? Like, I'm here to fight right now. Like, I'm here to prove a point, and I will do what I have to do to prove it. This game's got a lot of problems, and they're surfacing really hard right now. Really, really, really hard. I think... Okay, so let's go back to the points system. So we mentioned artillery. I said they need to be nerfed to the ground. Let's compensate just for the fact that that's probably realistically never going to happen. They need to be nerfed to the point of being just a support tank. So they support their team. They don't hunt the fucking enemy themselves, because some tanks can do that. They hit so hard. Artillery, excuse me. Either that or give them their own game mode. Let it be siege-based and non-siege-based. Siege is just another word for artillery, by the way. It's more proper for some people, and military uses siege too. A siege engine or a siege tank. Or artillery. Artillery is more commonly known, though. But give them their own game mode, you know? Not just artillery to play against artillery, but like artillery and the tanks that we play, you know? Have them in their own game mode, like call it like siege mode. Like tank/siege mode. And then tank/non-siege mode. So that we can have that real experience of fucking dogfighting an enemy team, that we don't have to gotta worry about getting shot from fucking across the map by a dude who's literally scrolling, aiming, and clicking one button. All you're doing when you're in artillery is holding one button and clicking one button. When you're in an actual tank in this game, you're clicking one button, using another button, also using another button to, you know, do a full 360 to see if there's anybody behind you. Acting like this game's War Thunder, it's not. But sometimes that happens. There's been cases where the enemy team's flanked behind us and we all gotta do a U-turn. But, you know, like, this is the state of the game. Every other game, I'll shoot an enemy tank and it'll disappear. It won't register the damage, and even afterwards, it won't register the damage. It won't. It'll show that I penetrated, but it'll show that it did no damage, even though it was a penetrating shot. When I shot him, when I saw him on the map, when I saw his tank, his or her, I mean, not being sexist here, but when I saw their tank, that was a penetrating shot from me to them. When their tank disappeared off the map, the round disappeared too, right as it got there. No, it didn't notify me afterwards that I pinned him. It didn't show that I pinned him. It didn't change my damage output, and it didn't do anything. Shadow rounds need to be fixed. I don't know if it's a bug. I don't know what it is, but it needs to be fixed. What was that? Was that 3 or 2? So what do we got? We got +1, -1. Artillery needs to be nerfed, and shadow rounds. Those are the 3. We could go with one more if we're really trying to present ourselves here. The majority of tier 10s in the game, as well as the majority of tier 9s in the games, need to be more bouncy. You know, you're using tier 10 armor. Yeah, okay, maybe you're using a medium tank and your turret's 200 millimeters. That is sloped armor, my friend. That should also have an added bonus of a certain amount. Let's be more realistic about how we're using our armor in this game. You know, it's funny. Let me go out of this menu. So Cold War, right? Cold War. This is literally their expansion and the crossplay expansion they made like 8 months ago. They changed the whole game and made it cross-platform, made it to where Xbox can play with PlayStation, and they added Cold War tanks. And not just Cold War tanks, they added modern tanks. Why is it showing a fucking equalizer? What? I was about to say, dude, that's got to be the weirdest fucking bug I've ever seen. But they added modern tanks. Cool. So instead of fixing the underlying problems, you decide let's add modern tanks to the game. Makes sense. We'll go with that, I suppose. You know, like, dude, like, who's running your fucking department for development? You know, who's doing that, man? Because they're not doing it right, and they haven't been doing it for years, right? But like I said, guys, this is, unless you guys have like some tremendous support on this video, you like this, smash the like button, and you comment and you tell me not to stop playing this game or whatever, because you might enjoy watching me play or whatever. I mean, I don't know. Unless I get some kind of crazy response to this video, and not in a negative way, but in a positive way, hopefully. At least constructive criticism, fuck. Unless I get something like that, I don't even feel the need to stream this game anymore. That's how so tired of playing this game I am. I don't want to put the time in to stream it. Not just the fact that, like, if you guys request for me to stream it, I will, obviously. But if I don't have to stream it, I'm not going to, and that's where I'm at this point. I don't even feel, I don't feel excited to open this game up every day. I'm dreaded because I'm like, oh god, how many games am I gonna have with dumbass teammates? That's sad because that's all that goes through my mind. It's not, how am I going to survive? Let me make a plan with my team. Let me try to communicate with my team. It's, how dumb is my team going to be this game? And it's sad that the majority of my games that I'm talking about usually happen off camera, so there's not really any factual basis there for you guys to believe me on. But due to the fact that I'm actually leaving this fucking game after this season, that should be enough factual basis for you to understand how bad players are at tier 10. They treat their tier 10s. This is like, I'll see like 6 people, dude. I'll see 6 people in a heavy tank, a tier 10 heavy tank. We're not specifying a nation or anything, but I'll see them all on my team, right? They'll all just lemon train one direction. They won't take into account if somebody asks them to go one direction or another. They'll just go one direction, and everybody herds around them like they're some kind of fucking god or deity, when they're not, and then they just die. Like, half our team usually dies within the first 2 minutes. It's pathetic, and it's irritating, and it's annoying, and it's every word in the fucking book that involves irritation towards that type of situation. That's the boat I'm in. You know, I have tier 10s to come back to. I've got 190 days of premium. I've got plenty of time to take a break from the game. Like, I do. I really, truly do. I'm not going to be missing out on anything. Maybe a couple of months here and there where they give away free tanks or whatever. I don't know. I probably will come back for the Christmas event because they usually give away dope-ass Christmas tanks. And they have dope-ass events usually. But besides that, man, I mean, I I'm kind of getting into War Thunder also. I want to mention that, which is another tank game I play that's more realistic. The game I've actually been talking about the game a lot if you haven't been noticing. But I'm probably gonna start just streaming that more. This game is just it's becoming more of an actual arcade game than it is a fucking tank game. I don't know how to really explain that. I really don't. You're just gonna have to try to understand me. You're really gonna have to try to understand what I mean by literally. I feel like I'm playing an arcade game at an arcade machine, fucking arcade place with really high graphics and 3D models. That's what it feels like. It feels like I have an analog, and that's what I'm doing, dude. I want this to feel more like I don't know, more like I have armor, more like my tank is more realistic, more like I'm able to bounce shit, more like I'm able to fight tanks, more like I'm able to hold angles, more competitiveness to regular just these tanks, the 705A it got a nerf too, and its armor has never been the same. That needs to be buffed again. The 279E, its armor used to bounce everything. Its frontal armor used to bounce everything. Now I get pinned in the front by a fucking medium tank every game. This guy, I mean, this is a newer tank. I don't got really anything bad about it. Its hull could use more armor. It is a T10 hull. It should have a little bit more armor, and it should be more bouncy, but it's not. Type 5 Heavy. I firmly believe that this needs another armor buff. I firmly believe that this tank needs another armor buff. I think it needs to have 300 millimeters of hull. No, not fuck, dude. I'm getting my numbers mixed up again. It needs at least 280 millimeters of hull armor, including lower plate right there, the one where the hooks are. That lower plate is 260, I believe. At least make it 280. Push it 290 even. Make the turret 300 plus. Make the turret 300 plus. 310 even. Give it back what it had. This thing had 300 millimeters of armor across the board. It had frontally 300 millimeters of armor across the board when it was first released. I remember this because I remember looking at the tank when it was first released. I remember looking at the armor profile and shit. Let's see. What else do we have? Oh, dude, don't even get me started on the 60 pp. Out of all the tanks I have in my garage, including heavy tanks, this tank disappoints me the most. It's such a solid tank, but it is so underwhelming to play. It is. Its reload is a little too long. I mean, I've played tanks that have the same fucking barrel as this, and obviously a different configuration, and they have faster reloads. It just doesn't make fucking sense to me. I can't really say anything about the Progetto. It's a balanced tank right now. It really is. This fucking tank, they need to reset its damage. Its AP rounds need to be doing 1400 damage to like 17 or 18, and its Hesh needs to be doing 17 to fucking 22. I don't care who you are in the World of Tanks community. If you think this thing deserves anything less than what I just said, then you I don't know, man. I don't know what to say about you, I hope I never meet someone like you, because I'm just gonna block you. That difference in opinion and that forthright thought that it's great right now is off the mark completely, and I've lost interest in you completely. Your opinion and your argument I've completely lost interest in. But like, these tanks need to be buffed again. I think the Jagdpanzer needs to be rebuffed for its armor. Everything else is solid. Its lower plate needs a buff of armor, 20 millimeters even. I don't give a fuck. Its cheeks need to be buffed by 50 at least. You got to realize those cheeks right there. That is a thick-ass metal plate right there. That is very thick. That is very thick, and it's slanted. That is slanted armor right there. That should have more bounceability. It should. It should have... That lower places should also have more bounceability. But anyways, these are the reasons why I don't want to play this game anymore. I could go out of my way, and I could show you battles, and show you what players do, and just, spectate players in this game and whatnot. But I don't want to be here any more longer than I need to. I don't want to explain any more than I need to that this game's in a bad spot. So let's recap over everything before I end the stream for the night. I'm only going to come back to this game after this season. And after this season, I'm only going to come back to this game if major shit happens. If they add a new line to a new nation, maybe I might come check that out. But I won't grind it. I usually don't give a fuck about that shit. Like I said, I have all the tier 10s I've ever actually wanted. Um, let's say they have a bunch of crazy ass tanks in the season pass next month that are new tanks to the game. You know, I might come back for that. I won't lie. I keep forgetting next month is fucking Christmas. Next month is December. I am coming back for the Christmas event and any other events around it. So next month I will be back. I know I just said I probably won't, but for Christmas I'm definitely coming back. They give away free tanks every year. For the last 5 years, they've given a free tank. They've given a free tank away every year for the last 5 years. So I want to see what kind of cool Christmas-inspired tanks they have, and what skins they have. They usually sell Christmas-inspired skins too. But you know, after next month, unless they update artillery and they nerf it, if they nerf the penetration, if they nerf their damage output, if they make them more support, I'll come back. I'll come back right away. I'll come back like a fly to turd, literally. I'm sorry it sounds disgusting, but that's literally how it'll happen. Until this game and these developers listen to the community more and like, hey, the Death Star's underwhelming. Can we get that buffed? Nah, it's fine where it is. Bullshit. By the way, that was an example of a lot of players that have the Death Star and how they probably feel. This is the state of the game right now, and it's not fun. It's not fun at all. Anyways, guys, if you truly do, and again, I'm going to say this again, you guys got to you guys got to communicate with me. Comment in the comment section down below if you want to see me play this game some more, or see me play a specific tank, you know, or give me a reason to play this game more. I've lost any reasons I had to play it. I've got all the tier 10s I've ever wanted. I've got really good tanks at every tier. I've got tanks that I want to play and that are competitive enough at every tier. I'm fine where I'm at. I've got nothing else to show. You know, I've made enemies of a lot of official clans in the game. You know, unfortunately, due to differences in opinion and differences in outlook in life. So, I mean, that sucks, I guess. I mean, to each their own. I'm going to keep living my life one step at a time. Sometimes two, when I come up with something ingenious. But as for this game, this is what 5 years. By the way, you got to remember. Let's say 3 years. Let's say 3 years, but I've really been playing for 5. I'm not going to lie to you. This is what 5 years of. By the way, back in the day, I didn't really try to grind too many lines. I kind of just went for specific tanks or whatever. So I'd just go up the line I needed to go up to. So, you know, like when you see certain lines that aren't gone up to. Yeah, originally I was going to go for the IS-4. But I was like, you know what, I don't know if I really want to. Or not, did I say IS-4? I meant the IS-7, excuse me. I've gone all the way up this line, up to tier 10. I just have to research the tier 10. And then I'll have another tier 10. You know, like, it's just the small things, you know. Oh, speaking of which, my first ever American tier 10, non-premium. All I got to do is research that, and I'll have another tier 10 right then and there. You know, it's just there's so much capacity for greatness for this game, and it hasn't been fully visualized yet. I'm willing to wait. I'm willing to sit on this game. I'm not literally. I mean metaphorically, and what I mean by that is I'm willing to wait. I'm willing to wait to see if they listen to the community, if they finally do something about artillery. Artillery is my only concern. I'm not gonna lie. At the end of the day, artillery is the only mechanic in this game I don't enjoy. It makes holding certain lines impossible. It makes playing the game almost impossible half the time. It's a very boring and very not very fun mechanic to have in the game. And I'm not the only one that has to say this. I'll go into public matches sometimes and I'll say I hate artillery. And then I'll have two random dudes, turn their mics on and be like, yeah, I agree with you, bro. Artillery is annoying as fuck. Like, that's just what our community is, you know? Like-mindedness, you know? Knowing that a mechanic is fucking broken. Anyways, guys, I'll see you guys next live stream. Peace out.